Welcome everyone to our final session with Mo Money Crew that's being hosted by the FYU program on how to be financially successful as a college student. My name is Noe, my pronouns are they, them, and I am the first year experience group facilitator. Today I have with me Julie Jem, if she can introduce herself.
Sure thing. Hi everyone. My name is Julie Jem. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the FYE house lead for the Business, Creative Industries, Liberal Studies, and Communication House. I really like the session. I always it reminds me to, focus on money, and there's a lot of nice tips in here. So I hope you enjoy.
Both of us will be helping monitor the chat if you have any questions, so please feel free to use that if you want to ask anything. Shortly, I'll be handing over to our hosts or presenters, Alexandra and Deb. Before I do that, I would love to take this opportunity to do a land acknowledgement. So this session is being delivered from my home in Ontario, on lands very close to Mohawk College. So I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge that my home and college are situated on the traditional and unceded territories of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe nations within the land protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement, and is currently home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island. It's important for me as a settler to acknowledge the history of Indigenous people in Canada and give immense gratitude for their care and teachings of the land. Indigenous people have always been stewards of this land and will continue into the future. I offer this land acknowledgement as a small act of reconciliation. But I'd like to also include call to action if you're living in the Hamilton area. I strongly suggest reading about the Haldeman Proclamation of 1876 and researching the various land issues happening within the Six Nations of the Grand River. I'll hand it over a workshop to Alexandra and Deb.
Thank you, Noe. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We want to start by sharing with you what we do at Mo Money. So let's begin by formally introduce the Mo Money team. So I have the pleasure to introduce Deb Clinton. Deb uses she, her pronouns, and she's the communications and programming specialist for Mohawk College, Mo Money Financial Literacy Resource Center. Here, she's responsible for researching financial literacy resources, facilitating workshops, organizing special events, and managing the Mo Money social media accounts. A Mohawk College alumni, Deb, a lifelong learner, has received certification in project management, International Association for Public Participation, and the Canadian Institute of Management. Deb has spent the majority of her career working at the local, provincial, municipal level of government, providing community development, neighborhood engagement, project management, and public speaking expertise. As a mother of two adult children, Deb, when not working at the college, enjoys a round of golf, attempts to grow things in her garden, and is constantly training her dog, Jasper.
I am, yes. Thank you very much, Alexandra. And it's my pleasure to tell you a little bit more about Alexandra. She uses she, her pronouns and is the money counselor for the Mohawk College Mo Money Financial Literacy Resource Center. She hosts webinars and events, as well as does the one-on-one financial counseling session for students. Previous to working at Mohawk, she worked at Credit Counseling Society as a credit counselor and at the RBC Royal Bank as a financial advisor. Alexandra's earned a bachelor's degree in industrial engineering, has a strategic marketing management postgraduate certificate, and is an accredited financial counselor and a qualified bankruptcy and insolvency counselor. So when not working at the college, Alexandra enjoys walking, biking, and spending time with her family and friends. So you may be asking yourself or not, what is Mo Money? We are part of the Financial Assistance Department. It is a student money management center focused on two goals. One is to help students with resources and develop critical financial skills, and to provide students with resources and training to use those skills. We provide Mohawk College students with the resources to increase their awareness and promote the importance of financial literacy, build financial competencies in the area of money management, budgeting, credit use, financial planning, and debt repayment. We also hope to build students' financial resiliency in order to ensure their continued financial success, not only when you're just a student, but also in the real world when you graduate. So we are committed to helping students from all walks of life improve their money skills. And to accomplish that goal, we offer one-on-one money counseling because money is worth talking about. If the students, or if you have any questions or want to discuss a specific financial situation, you can book an appointment with Alexandra. So in these personalized sessions, you can discuss your financial goals and money concerns. Alexandra will help you to create a financial plan that would include an easy to follow budget, perhaps a debt repayment strategy, a savings strategy, and a plan to improve your credit score, and much more depending on your individual needs. We also host workshops just like this. We're constantly planning events and workshops. Currently, we have a great partnership with the Canadian Foundation for Economic Education called Wealthing Wednesdays. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the next one, which is geared to newcomers on February 15th. So at the end of this session, I'll post it in the chat. So we also have a number of financial resources. The main one is the Money Matters module. It's always a mouthful. This module was designed to introduce students to a variety of money management ideas and concepts to build their knowledge and give them confidence. There are about 4 core money management pillars to get a better understanding of your own money personality, spending habits, and goals. It has 6 sections, each spanning about 10 to 15 minutes. And every section is packed with interactive learning materials and concludes with a knowledge check quiz to confirm your understanding of key concepts. Also on our webpage, we've got a list of financial resources, contacts, and supports for students. You can access financial management webinars, tools, tips, calculators, and articles, and much more to support your path to develop financial literacy skills. And hopefully that will help you make important decisions. So Mo Money is here to help, and we have many ways that you can get involved with Mo Money or follow us so that you can stay current with some of the things that we offer. We have an Instagram and Facebook account, so you can see those on the slides. We have the Money Matters module on my Canvas, which I just spoke about. You can book an appointment with Alexandra and develop your own personalized plan. Or you can join us for an event like the Wealthing Wednesdays sessions that are coming up this semester. So it's me again. So we're going to just imagine that you won the lottery and you've won $10 million. Now, I know you're thinking, oh my goodness, $10 million, that's a lot of money. What would you do with that windfall? If you want to add what you would do with that windfall, you can add it to the chat. Or it might be even a good idea to jot down what are your first thoughts about, what would you do with 10 million? Would you travel the world? Would you buy a luxury car? Would you show your generous nature and, give to charity or to your family? Some will also decide to invest or start their own business. The key concept here is if you won $10 million, the answers that you give and that you come up with will give you insight into what is important to you, what you value. So 10 million seems like a lot of money, right? And there's a lot of things that you can do, but I just took a look at the ticket again and I was wrong. I'm so sorry. It looks like the amount is only $25,000. So still not a bad windfall. You could do lots of things with 25,000. So what would you do that's different? You know, would your ideas become smaller? Would your ideas on how to spend that money change, or would they stay the same? So those, you know, those of you who've thought about some big ideas, maybe with only 25,000, your goals or dreams might become a little bit more realistic. It's still a good windfall. You could still buy a new car or pay off debt, but maybe your goals are a little bit more realistic with less amount. So, you know, oh dear, I just looked at the ticket again and I checked it online and now you've only won 1,000. How disappointing is that? But still, I always think, look at the silver lining. $1,000 is still a windfall, but it really will change now. If you were thinking, how was my money going to change from 10 million to 25,000 to now only 1,000? How do your thoughts about what you would do with that money change? Have you you know, lowered your expectations on what you could do? Are you thinking more now about practical things like a car repair, or, you know, or would you still pay off debt? It's sort of interesting that as the money amount changes, so does your expectations on what you can do with it. So, and the most valuable thing here is that you started to think about some financial goals, like if I could, or if I would, what would I do? And that's really what's going to be helpful for you, you know, moving forward when you talk about your financial goals. So I'm going to pass it over to Alexandra.
Thank you, Deb.
Okay.
Yeah, so as Deb was saying, when you think about having money, a lot of money, or just $1,000, we think about our goals, our financial goals. So we're gonna be talking about financial goals today. And we are also going to discuss how can you set yourself up for financial success while in the college. At the end, I want to share with you some tips to help you take control over your money. So let's begin. Why goal setting is important? Goal setting helps you identify a purpose, helps you focus. Goals motivates you. If you set goals, they help you to measure your progress. They also hold you accountable. Goals also allow you to celebrate your success. So it's very important to set goals and have them clear. So then I want you to reflect about the things that are important to you. What do you hope for in the future? Take just some time to reflect on your own life and think about what is important to me. How do I envision my future? Just think about it for a couple of minutes and have that in mind, because when you think about money related goals, there are many possible money related options for goals, and you may think about, as we were talking before, about buying a house or paying tuition. So let's think about some of the options. What money goals come to your mind? Please type in the chat if you have any goals, any financial goals in mind that you want to share with us. Okay, just trying to check the chat. Trips, oh, retiring young, that would be awesome. Buy a house, a car eventually. Yes, those are great goals. Now, let's review them together. Save for retirement, absolutely. So go to college, it's one of the goals. Build an emergency fund. Another financial goal could be pay off debt, be debt free at some point in the future. A big purchase, as you were saying, a house, a car, a dream trip. That's also a great goal related to money. Save for retirement. How about starting a business? So all of these are money related goals. For today's session, we're going to have one common goal. And this goal is I want to be financially successful as a college student, to be able to complete my program, graduate, and build a strong foundation for my future. Studying at college for some of you also means starting your financial journey, your first time living alone, your first time having to pay bills. College comes with more freedom, but also with more responsibility. Your college years are one of the most important moments of your financial journey. Whether you're supported by your parents, guardians, or you are an adult learner with a family to care for, anyone can really face financial struggles in college. Today, especially, many find it very difficult to afford the skyrocketing tuition costs. And some of us don't have a big cash cushion available to help out in case of an emergency. So many students struggle to stay afloat financially in college. What if you could do a few things now to make your financial life easier for the years to come? No one really wants to be a broke college student. So let's learn how to stay financially secure while being at the college and set the basis for the future. We want to share with you 3 things that you should do if you want to achieve financial success as a student and in the future. 3 things. The first one, create a budget. The second one, open a saving account. And the third one, cut costs. So let's review the first one. Create a budget. What is a budget? A budget is basically a financial plan that allocates future personal income to our expenses, savings, and debt repayment. Some people don't like the name budget. I prefer to call it my financial plan or my money roadmap. Where to start when you want to create a budget? So you need to take a serious look at your numbers, the money coming in, the money going out, and then you can make a realistic plan. So what are the 3 main components of a budget? As I said, the income, the money coming in, expenses, savings, and debt repayment. So let's talk about the income and the money coming in. Income is the money that comes into your household. People get income in different ways. So this is the first step to create a budget. Calculate how much money is coming in. Let's, as a group, brainstorm all the possible sources of income you can think of. Where is your money coming from? Jobs, yes, Yuli. OSAP, government assistance. Yep, thank you very much. Those are some of the sources. Family support. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. Those are some of the different sources of income that we have. So this is a list of some of the sources of income. As Julie was saying, OSAP, employment or self-employment income, government assistance like Ontario Works or ODSP, government benefits like child tax benefit, Ontario Trillium, GST, HST, loans from a bank, pension, family support, savings like an RESP. So then check these different sources of income in a different way. Where is your money coming from and when the money is coming to you? So you can have a one-time money coming in, a lump sum. For example, OSAP is the money that you receive every semester. Normally, for OSAP, that you know is the program run by the government that basically borrow money. The students can borrow money to go to school. And this is just for domestic students. It's not available for international students. So this money is partially a loan and partially a grant. So it's only the loan portion that you have to pay back after graduation. But it is important to understand that OSAP is not intended to fund all your education costs. You still need to contribute to your education fees and costs. You should not depend on OSAP to cover all the expenses. You might take out a loan and borrow money from a bank or credit union. You might get gifts from a family member for graduation or birthdays or Christmas or specifically for school. Your parents may have a saving plan for your post-secondary education set up for you, like an RESP. Ask your parents if they have that RESP. If they don't have it, it's not late to start one for you. This is a government program where you will get free money from the government to help you pay for your education. If you are under 21 years old, you have until the day before you turn 21 to open a registered education saving plan and apply for the Canada Learning Bond. You may be able to get up to $2,000 to help with your education costs through the Canada Learning Bond. You may also have savings on your own from those gifts or from your allowances or from a part-time job. Saving is a very important money habit that you need to build if you really want to have a successful financial life. There's also financial assistance office at Mohawk. We have a really great financial assistance office that can help you fund your education with awards, like scholarships and bursaries. Awards are money that you don't have to pay back. It's a free money. Awards can be given for a lot of different reasons, such as academics or athletics or volunteer work, financial need, and much more. Also, you might work part-time during school or over the summer breaks. So those are the different sources of income that you receive one time at the beginning of the semester or at the beginning of your college journey. But you also have some income that is monthly or bi-weekly, recurring income, like your employment income. The benefits from the government normally are monthly, or some of them are every 3 months, like the GST, HST, government assistance, family support. Your parents may say, okay, I'm going to give you an allowance every month. So that's money coming in every month. Your savings, you may decide that if you have some money saved, you can use that money as a lump sum to help you with your beginning of the semester expenses, or you can decide that you're going to be taking money every month from your saving account to help you support your living expenses. Now let's talk about the money going out. Where is your money going? This is the second step to when you are working in your budget. We are talking about expenses. We truly need to understand our spending habits. So where is the money going? In the same way, you have some expenses that are one-time expenses, lump sum money that is going out at the beginning of the semester or at the beginning of your the first year when you are coming to college, like the tuition and fees every semester, textbooks and school supplies probably every semester, equipment like a laptop, a camera, probably just going to be once at the beginning of your school. Then resident fees at the beginning of the semester if you're going to be living at the residence, first and last month's rent if you're going to be living at an apartment, moving expenses, furniture and apartment essentials. So those are expenses that happens just once at the beginning of the semester. You also have some monthly recurring expenses like rent and utilities, internet, cell phone, transportation, food, entertainment, personal care, you name it. A lot of things that we have to pay on a monthly basis. When you think about those expenses that are recurring, you need to make some decisions depending on your income. Where are you going to live? On campus, off campus, with parents, with roommates close to the campus, on your own? How are you going to get there? Are you going to walk? Are you going to bike? Are you going to take the public transit? Are you going to drive? Carpooling? Where are you going to eat? From the school cafeteria or outside of school? Are you going to buy groceries and cook and bring lunch from home, buy fast food, or just go to a nice restaurant to have dinner? So this is very important when you are analyzing your expenses. We have three types of recurring expenses that I want to explain to you. The first one is fixed expenses. They are due every month. They are the same amount and the same due date. For example, rent and utilities, transportation. If you have to buy like a bus pass, is normally a fixed amount. Car and home insurance, your cell phone, internet, subscriptions like Netflix, Spotify, Amazon Prime. I always like to include savings and debt repayment in this group. If you are going to be serious about saving, you better set a fixed amount and save that amount every month. And if you really want to pay down your debt, you need to set a fixed amount towards debt repayment. The second group is variable expenses. Those expenses are also monthly, but the amount varies. They are due on different dates. The due date is not fixed. For example, groceries, entertainment, gasoline, takeout, eat out. We need to buy groceries every month. We normally try to have fun at least once every weekend or twice a month. If we have a car, we need to put gasoline every month. Normally, we kind of eat out or take out every month. So those are expenses that happens monthly, but the amount is not fixed and probably the due date is not the same every month. And then we have a third group of expenses that are irregular expenses. They are non-monthly expenses, so they don't happen every month. And the amount may change and the due date may not be fixed. For example, car maintenance, clothing, gifts, travel, Christmas once a year. Travel, it depends. Once, twice a year. Gifts, you don't have birthdays every month. Hopefully you don't. Clothing, we don't normally buy clothes every month. The same, car maintenance is every 3 months that you have to change the oil and those type of things. So there's one thing that is common to all these three group of expenses is that they are predictable. This means that you can plan for all of them. You know that they will happen. And most probably you know when they are going to happen. So it is important to make a plan for those expenses. For the fixed expenses, I always recommend to try to lower the monthly bills by just shopping around. Shop around, and probably you can get a cheaper cell phone package or internet package, and try to make the fixed expenses automatic and pair them with your income. By that, I mean, if you're getting paid the 1st and the 15th, try to pair your bills with those dates. So you know that whenever you receive your money, is going to be enough to pay your bills. So the bills are taken out of your bank account the same date when you are getting your income. For the variable expenses, I always recommend to try to make these expenses as fixed as possible, just by setting limits for each category. So if you can decide to give yourself an allowance for entertainment and say, I'm not going to spend more than $50 or $100 a week for entertainment or for eating out, and try to stick to that budget. So set limits, make those expenses as fixed as possible. For the regular expenses, same thing, try to make them as fixed as possible. How? By allocating money monthly for those expenses. This is kind of a saving to spend. You receive the money monthly, you know that you're going to be spending, for example, $1,200 a year on those irregular expenses. So divide that by 12 and kind of save $100 a month. So whenever the expense arises, you know that the money is going to be there in your bank account. So now that you know the different types of expenses, now that you know that the money goes somewhere, and that it's important to know where the money is going, now it's time for you to ask yourself, where is my money going? Where is your money going? So please track your expenses. Always track your expenses. Use the online banking. There are some apps to help you. Use just a notebook or just Excel spreadsheet. That will help you, because you need to understand your spending habits. That's one of the main things that I can recommend you. Track your own expenses and understand your spending habits. Now that you know where your money is going, it is important to evaluate every expense from a needs versus wants perspective, because our money supply isn't endless. So we need to make sure our money will last as long as possible. So what is a need? What is a want? Needs are those things that are essential. Without them, your ability to function is impacted. Wants, on the other hand, are wishes. They are not necessary. Without them, your ability to function is not impacted. So always think about stuff from this perspective. Is this a need or a want? Sometimes something that we think is a need, like food, can be a want. If you see here, the need is nutritious and enough, but the want can be fast food or go to a fancy restaurant. The same for clothing. The need is warm and dry, but the want can be brand names, labels. For communication, you need to connect with people, but you may want data and smartphones. For housing, you need just shelter, but you may want to live in a house with a pool or in an apartment. So always think about this concept when you are thinking about expenses. Is this a need or is this a want? So let's watch a short video about needs and wants. Sorry.
Spending money is both a necessity and a pleasure. The problem is that regularly spending too much can lead to big problems in the long run. It's worth taking a moment to stop and look closely at our spending habits in order to figure out ways to avoid overspending. It's easy to do and helps us to steer clear of debt and start saving money. Is overspending a common problem? What are the things that lead people to spend more than they should? Let's find out.
Most unnecessary frivolous thing, junk food. Just buy way too much of that stuff.
Mostly like iced coffee and clothes, I guess. Alcohol, very useless. A lot of money. I spend about $20 or $30 a week just on like food and coffee and stuff.
I would say in excess of $40.
Everyone has a few expenses that can be reduced fairly easily, but making sacrifices doesn't necessarily mean missing out on the things that you value. It's important to figure out what things you want and what things you really need. Take a moment to consider which of your regular purchases are necessary and which are not. This can help you identify and get what you really want. It's usually quite easy to identify the main things we spend too much money on, even if it is only a small amount each time. Take your lunch break at work, for example. Many of us need to visit a cafe or a restaurant, but spending $5 or $10 in this way every day really adds up. This is the kind of spending that can easily be reduced by recognizing that buying a meal is a want rather than a need. There are many ways of cutting down on expenses without having to give up on the things you want. For example, try making a sandwich at home and bringing it with you to work instead of buying it at a cafe. Even $5 a day adds up to a lot of money over time, and the sacrifice we make in order to save is only a small one. When spending and saving, your needs should always be the priority. Identify the most common unnecessary expenses in your daily habits. How often are you eating out each week? Do you impulsively buy items such as clothing, jewelry, and electronic gadgets? Are you regularly buying things you don't need, such as bottled water or lottery tickets? How much do you spend each month at pubs and clubs, health spas, and manicurists? Could you possibly walk, cycle, or use public transit more often? Once you've identified your unnecessary expenses, consider simple and practical ways of reducing or replacing these expenses. It could be something as simple as bringing your own water bottle or renting videos instead of going to the movies. Try leaving your credit cards at home when you go out shopping and making a list of the items you need before you go. Then stick to it. You can set aside a certain amount of money each month for additional spending and indulgences. Do some research on the prices and sleep on it before you make expensive purchases.
Think before you buy and wait like a day before you buy things. I think a good trick would just be not to have any change on you because that usually I see I've changed in my wallet and I'm like, oh look, I'll go buy myself a coffee.
If you're working in a place like downtown, it's so easy to pop up to a restaurant for lunch. But if you're taking sandwiches or food that you prepared at home and you bring it in, not only is it healthier, it's going to be a lot cheaper in the long run.
The $5 you save each day by bringing a sandwich with you instead of buying it at work adds up to at least $25 a week. Over a month, that adds up to $100 in accumulated savings. And by the end of a full year, you could have saved $1,200. That $1,200 can grow even more if you invest the money. For example, let's assume that by investing your savings or using them to pay down your mortgage, you can earn 6% per year on your savings. With a 6% annual investment return, your $1,200 of annual savings can grow to nearly $7,000 in 5 years, $16,000 in 10 years, and $70,000 in 25 years. Paying attention to your daily spending habits can really help. Making even small changes to the way you spend can really add up and make it easy for you to save. Know the difference between your wants and your needs. Spend on your needs first. Avoid making impulse purchases. Even the small amounts you save can grow into big savings over time. To build your
Okay, that's a really good video where we can learn a lot about the difference between needs and wants and how can we make decisions based on that. Just reading the chat, and thank you very much for all the comments. So when you know money coming in, you really have a list of your income, the sources of income, your expenses, then you need to make a plan. This is when you're balancing your budget. It's basically the difference between income and expenses. If you have more income than expenses, then you have a surplus. If that is the case, you can decide to use that money to pay off debt quicker and also to increase your savings. But if you have a deficit, you have more expenses than income, then you have two options and only two options. You need to reduce your expenses or you need to increase your income. For college students, the budget looks a little bit different. So I always recommend to start by working on the lump sum payments, the one-time upfront expenses. So you have an income coming at the beginning of the semester from OSAP, from RESPs or scholarships, and you also have some upfront expenses. So hopefully the difference between the lump sum funds and the upfront expenses is going to be positive. So you're going to have some money disposable to supplement your living expenses. I always recommend to open a separate account for the OSAP money. So OSAP will pay the tuition directly to the school, and then whatever is left is going to be deposited into your bank account. So open a separate account that is not easy to access and just decide how much you need to transfer every month to supplement your monthly expenses. So this is when you have to work on this second template. So what is my recurrent income from work, from tips, from Ontario Trillium, from my parents, from child tax benefit, and those are my monthly or recurring expenses. So how much do I need to take out from the OSAP money or from the savings that I have so I can pay for everything on a monthly basis? So it's very important for you as a student to work in your budget in these ways. First, like a lump sum budget, and then the monthly budget. So this is the first thing that you can do to set yourself up for financial success. Create a budget. The second thing that we want to recommend you to do is open a savings account. It's never too late to start saving. When you are working in your budget, please always include savings in your budget. Setting aside a small amount, as this guy was telling us in the video, just $5 a day can make a huge difference. So when you consider open a savings account, try to open an account with zero or very, very few fees, sometimes the bank can charge you for ATM fees, overdraft fees, and insufficient funds fees. So try to open an account that has no fees for your savings account. When you think about savings, what do you have to save money for? I want to share with you 3 things that I think are very important to when you are building your saving plan or your saving strategy. The first thing is an emergency fund. We need to build an emergency fund. Remember, we talk about the predictable expenses. What about the unpredictable expenses? What happened when those unexpected expenses like a car accident or a parking ticket or a speeding ticket or a pet medical emergency or a plumbing issue? What about unplanned travel due to a funeral or family emergencies? Those are unexpected expenses. We need to plan for those expenses. So I recommend you to try to start building an emergency fund. The second thing you need to save money for is short-term savings. Normally, this is the money that you're saving to spend. Remember we talk about the irregular expenses? I recommend you to start saving on a monthly basis for those expenses that are not monthly. So if you start saving now for short term, you know that in December next year, you're going to have enough money to buy gifts and spend money on Christmas or have this trip that you're dreaming about. And then the third group of savings are the long-term savings. For example, retirement, or if you want to save money to buy a car, or saving for the down payment to buy a house. So those are long-term savings. So always think about these when you are trying to decide what to save for. Another thing that I wanted to share with you is when you have your emergency fund, when should you take money out of the emergency fund and when you should not use the emergency fund. So obviously for emergencies, insurance deductibles, critical home or vehicle repairs, family emergencies, medical emergencies, but don't use your emergency fund to invest money or to pay for vacations or holidays, to buy good deals, or to pay for your bills because you're short on bills. If you are doing your budgeting in a proper way, most probably you won't need to use your emergency fund for these. Try to use it for emergencies. Hopefully, if there are no emergencies, your money is going to stay there forever, the emergency fund money. The third thing that we wanted to recommend to you to set yourself up for financial success is cut costs. You need to think about reducing the expenses. If you run out of money before you run out of bills, it might be time to reduce spending. So now that you know what is a need and a want, it's time to understand your priorities. A priority is something that you have to do first because it's more important than other things. Priority number one, items that are essential for healthy living, like shelter and food. Priority number two, items that are not essential, but are important to have. For example, internet or a cell phone. You may think that they are essential, but if you don't have internet, you still can keep living. But you know, nowadays it's very difficult to function if we don't have access to internet. So this is a priority number two. And priority number three, items that are not essential and not important. So when you are trying to reduce your expenses, start with the non-essentials, with the discretionary expenses. It's easier to cut back on non-essentials. Even small daily savings will add up. I'm going to share with you now some tips to reduce your expenses. For example, learn how to cook and eat at home. Make your own coffee and tea. Plan your meals and make a shopping list. Use coupons. Ask for discounts. Cut on anything you don't use. Share the housing expenses with a roommate, work, bike, or take a transit. Buy used textbooks, wait and save rather than purchase on credit. And last but not least, don't be afraid to reach out for help. If you feel that you are having some issues with your money, book an appointment with me. I'm going to be happy to help you. How can you take control over your money and have a successful financial life now and in the future? First of all, understand that you are the one in control. Take ownership and do your best. This is a lifelong process, and it is a marathon. It's not a race, and it's not going to be perfect every month. So be prepared for the setbacks. I always say that the best thing that you can do is continue to arm yourself with the knowledge to adapt to any financial situation you come across. The strong foundation you build now will give you the stability you need to tackle your finances for the rest of your life. So always analyze your expenses in the past, be realistic and flexible, know your trouble spots, review and adjust, practice self-control, and find contentment by practicing gratitude. My last thing for you, the last thing that I wanted to say today is enjoy the ride. You can do this. Thank you very much. Thank you guys for joining us today. If there's any question, please type in the chat and Deb and I will be happy to answer any questions.
I also
you-
put the link in the chat for the next presentation that we're doing that's geared to newcomers. So if anybody's interested in that or you want to share it, please do.
Thank you, Deb. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, you're very welcome, Charity. It was my pleasure. It was my pleasure. If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out, book an appointment, or check our website. We have great resources on our website.
I'm going to stop the recording now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
No problem. I will ask her to, I have your emails and I'll figure out how to send that to you.
Thank you very much, Noe.